sometimes I'll actually come out here, record several videos, and those videos never get posted because I want to see what I actually say when I'm just thinking. Just like any other person, any other YouTuber especially, I'm gonna make mistakes. There are gonna be things that I say and realize, you know, after the video or after I post it, like, I'm not sure if I feel that same way anymore. So that's a pretty big deal for me. I'm okay to say that I'm wrong. I know some of you guys have been waiting a long time for this video. So this is a 12B1 LC Racing. I'm running the 5300 kV, the 2855, which is a huge bump up from the 4500. So this is the black can LC Racing running a 19 tooth pinion. This one goes about, I think it's like 39-40 miles an hour. And this is a EMBT, different tires and different rims. Those are Proline rims, they're Desperados. And also tires, those are Schumacher's. This is a Cactus. So those are buggy rears and definitely a lot of grip. Let's mess with this dual rate just a little bit more. Let's give it a little more turning. Oh, that feels good. I can definitely feel all the grip in the tires right now. So I just want to kind of get a feel of it before I really start to rip it. God, this car's so smooth. So there's a reason why specifically I haven't been driving this car, and let's break that down. There was a time where I thought this car was way too fast for this track. I just wasn't that skilled in driving yet, so I just wasn't capable of driving this car without potentially crashing it. So just over time I had to take time to actually learn shock settings and stuff like that to make sure I understood how these cars should be set up. And this one's perfectly tuned now, perfectly set up. I don't know if I really needed the 60 amp ESC on this one. God, that's so much grip. Almost too much grip. So I don't know if it really needed the 60 amp. I wasn't expecting to drive this one on carpet. I was expecting to drive it on dirt. But I love this car. This car is a really nice car. I think definitely it's a better car for dirt than it is for carpet. But just a properly set up car, you could actually get this thing to drive on the track really good. So this thing's on rails. You can't kick that back out at all. Oh crap. So that was a little lost in control. I normally don't like to use this transmitter because it's very limited in range, but because it's already set up with this receiver, we're using it. Oops. Oh man, it's an insane amount of grip. So when I run the fuzzy squares, because it is a broken-in tire, I'm able to definitely slide around corners a lot. I could take the turns a lot stronger, and I could slide around the corners. So I think there's a little bit too much grip in this tire right now, but it's just a matter of getting used to and learning how to drive it in a different way, if that's what the setup is. Yeah, so I feel like this car wants to open up. It feels like it wants to, like, you know, get that high speed. There we go, lost control again. Okay, so this transmitter definitely losing control. I might need to step up into a different area. Or possibly maybe with a receiver wire. So what I'm feeling right now is the grip. So because of that grip, it's not allowing it to give it like a little bit of slip from torque. So it doesn't have the like instant acceleration that I'm expecting from like all the other cars. The other cars kind of slip just a little bit to kind of get the momentum of speed, and it causes the revolution to just climb. This one doesn't, there's no slipping in it at all. I almost feel like this battery's dying, I can't tell. So far these tires are okay. I am running a full foam in them, so I'm not sure if I should have maybe loosened up on the foam. It's insane amount of grip. So that's what you want out of the long wheelbases, especially you want that like kind of flat trajectory whenever you're going over like a big jump. Okay, so how do I feel about long wheelbase versus the short wheelbase? Short wheelbase, I actually love the way it drives. I'm used to it. It's just my style of car. When it comes to like a track like this, driving style, it feels like an M3. It's what it feels like. It feels like you're driving an M3. Now, when you're driving like the 12B1 or like a truggy, it has a longer feel to it, so it doesn't feel like a M3. It doesn't feel quick and nimble like around turns, but it's a little more stable. Like that just took off. It's a little more stable, so with that stability, you're kind of able to stay consistent with like jumps and you know what's going on with the track a little bit easier than the short wheelbase. I just think they're a different feel. It's kind of hard to say which one's better. I think it's a matter of which one you drive better with. I like them both now that I've like had time to drive them and kind of, you know, get my like true thoughts on what what I wasn't sure too much about in the beginning. Something's wrong. Let's see what that is. Something's wrong. Let's see what that is. Okay, so it's not a lot of times that you'll get a problem with these cars, but I can tell you what they are normally. And I can tell you right away what this one will be. I think my mesh is off. Okay, so we have movement in all 4 tires. Let's see if we can troubleshoot this quickly. See if we can come in and figure out what happened. Check the gears, make sure nothing's moving. Make sure nothing's moving here. Now this motor looks like it's wiggling just a little bit, but I can't tell if the motor mesh is off, so let's see. Okay, so my problem right here is going to be this grub screw. These grub screws do come off every so often, so you got to make sure you put a blue Loctite on them. And you can see what the issue is right there. So right there, my grub screws, my collar's moving, and it's not driving that front. So that's going to be the issue right there. And normally these are quick fixes. You kind of know what to look for when you've gone through all the different problems. So let's give that a quick fix. And let's give the 12B1 a run. So 12B1, I have, same with both cars, I have multiple sets of tires for both cars. So we're going to be giving a tire test and just kind of going from there and seeing what works and what doesn't. So I have my on and off switch up here somewhere. Here it is. We are on. (12BL), 12B1. Okay. Let's give it a couple runs. Get used to it really quickly. What a big difference from the EMBT. This thing feels quick. It just wants to go. And I can feel the back squirrely. So it has grip, but it doesn't have the same grip as a Truggy, so you're able to kind of drift it just a little bit more. Just give me a couple runs, I'll be able to. Again, I'm so used to certain cars, it takes a minute to get used to another car, and then when I do, I'm able to drive it really good. Just takes a minute. So 12B1, why would this car be better than the EMB1? So here's what I feel about the long wheelbase. Again, I don't think there's one that's better. I think they have pluses and minuses on either side. One's going to feel more nimble around the track, but you have to be more precise when you're jumping and landing. This one's not going to feel as nimble around the track, but you don't have to be so precise when you're jumping and landing. The longer wheelbase just kind of guides you through the air and kind of corrects, your landing. So it's very much an easier car to drive. For me, I think the EMB1 is a little more rewarding to drive because of its quickness, because of its nimble, style. So this one feels like to me like what a 10 scale would feel like around a backyard track. So if I was racing against 10 scales, then no, I wouldn't bring my EMB1 out to race against 10 scales. But if I wanted to kind of compete with the 10 scale with a mini, then the 12B1 or even the long wheelbase LC would be the ones that I would pick. And the LC long wheelbase actually has a different feel than this one. It doesn't feel the same. It almost feels more rear wheel drive bias. and because of that, it feels almost like a little drifter on the track. So it definitely has a different feel than the 12B1. This one feels like has all wheels spinning equally, while the 12B long, or just like the truggy converted to a buggy, that one feels like it's rear-wheel drive, even though it's all-wheel drive. So it has a rear-wheel drive bias to it. So yeah, this car is, obviously when each car's set up, they're all really easy and good to drive. So it took me a while to get used to this because of the long wheelbase. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but that's why I don't just make reviews and like tell you my first initial thoughts. Sometimes I'll actually come out here, record several videos, and those videos never get posted because I want to see what I actually say when I'm just thinking. None of my stuff is written down, nothing scripted. I do, I run a business from my house, so the track is kind of just something I do for fun, something I do for, to allow people to see the difference between different things. It looks like we lost a pin here. Yeah, so we lost the hinge pin right here, just popped out. So that just from flex, no big deal. Pop that back in. Okay, fixed. Back on the road. So yeah, the feel of a long wheelbase compared to the short wheelbase, it's definitely a different feel. I wouldn't say that one is obviously way better than the other one, because there's just a different feel. But a lot has to do with the range of cars that you're racing against. Again, I personally would not race a 14 scale against a 10, only because of the size difference. Like the track, it's almost like I can be bullied easily because of its size. So this one would be a little bit harder to bully, and it's very equivalent to what the other 10 scales are running in speed and like just ability. So it's very similar. This motor makes this car really wake up. I originally ran the truggy motor in this, didn't really care for it. It goes 35, it feels quicker on the track, but it just doesn't have that like little extra push at the end for like top speed. So if you can see, these are, again, pretty easy to manage. So I think in regards to how this one drives right now, I'm thinking on a 10 scale track, this would probably definitely perform better than the EMB1. Because of its ability to be able to take like a longer distance jump and actually land planted because of the long wheelbase and the ability to not just kind of pop back up and tip over. Almost. Ooh, almost hit that. So I'm going to be changing this track layout really soon. The only reason I haven't done it is because I wanted to dial every car in before I started messing with tracks, because I wanted to make sure every car is up to its like absolute maximum performance. I think for a while there was certain things that I was doing that were wrong in regards to droop screws and like shock settings, so I had to go back, restudy everything, make sure I understood completely what I was doing. That way the information that I relay is actually, accurate information. Just like any other person, any other YouTuber especially, I'm going to make mistakes. There are going to be things that I say and realize, after the video or after I post it, like I'm not sure if I feel that same way anymore. So that's a pretty big deal for me. I'm okay to say that I'm wrong. And yeah, I have no problems with that. I have no problem saying that I'm wrong. And if someone wants to point out something that I said or that they have a different opinion on, I'd love to hear it. This isn't just my show of me knowing everything. I'm still fairly new into this industry. I'm a paintballer of 20 years, so That's the industry I'm coming from, and I'm a tech for multiple style guns, paintball markers. So when it came to electronics and like learning RC, these are very simple compared to a paintball gun, that's for sure. But what is complex about these is getting shock settings down and getting, like, you know, everything down to have it erasable. And anything can drive, but to have it raceable is a whole other story. So just driving this one around right now. I like the way this drives. Yeah, I could push it pretty hard. It's not as nimble as the EMB1, but I could push the hell out of it with these tires. So I wasn't sure if I wanted the 0 offset, but now that I'm feeling this, this is definitely a good setup to have. And these LC tires are somewhat broken in, so they're going to have a little bit give to them. Like that right there, that was no brakes. If I would have tried that on the Truggy, it would have flipped through that window. That's the difference between like high grip compared to like a medium grip. This car drives really well though. So I've been running this for several weeks, almost a month now, and this is my first video on it. Again, I wanted to make sure I understood how to drive it, set the shocks up completely correct, and give a correct representation of this car. I think where I noticed the most of this car, that longer wheelbase, where I'm seeing an advantage, definitely over the step up, step off, which is right here. It's definitely much easier to drive over that part. So yeah, there's definitely gonna be things that are gonna be easier to drive because of the longer wheelbase. That's gonna be a given. So I think it's just gonna be it comes down to preference. You know, these cars are pretty much the same car, just a long versus short wheelbase. So it's just a matter of personal preference. I think it's hard to beat either one. They're not WLs. They're not real Arlos. They're not, you know, high boxings. LCs are true race vehicles, and you feel it when you're on the track. So, you know, even though real Arlo might charge something close to the same price as an LC, the scale of what it is, like in comparison to an LC, it's not even close. It looks the same. They use the same blueprint on what the parts look like, but they're not the same material, in plastic or metal. Dimensions are pretty close to the same, but adjustability, you get definitely the feel of a properly tuned car with the LC Racing. Now you're probably thinking I'm driving the hell out of this one right now, but what I've been doing is actually taking the time to just dial my skills in even more. So I come out here, I race every day, if not 2 or 3 times a day, depending on what day it is. But I race out here a lot, and I'm always testing cars out, testing temperatures, the ESCs, motors. I'm always testing a lot of different things, tires, you know, new cars obviously, but I'm always testing something. There's always something I'm testing. So I'm out here quite a bit, and I think I had to also elevate my driving skills to make sure that I was again, just hitting this track like the way it should be hit. It's just running a, right now, this setup right here is actually running the 30 amp, just a stock ESC. I am going to switch it out for the 60 amp, the Hobbywing 60 that I was running in the sensor car. Only because I know that the ESC does get a little bit hot, so we're going to check that in a second. We want to see what the temperatures are and see, make sure. Last time I checked it, it was kind of a warmer day, and ESC was a little bit warmer than I wanted it to be. So we're going to check it in a minute. I would say normally we're not running, you know, a full battery or non-stop, so it's not a fair comparison and what it's like to actually run a 5-minute lap or 5-minute heat for times. And I can feel that's the motor. Yep. All right, so that was a 1500 mAh. This is the LC12B1. Let's take a look at the heat. Okay, ESC, we're looking at 132, so that's a good temperature, 148, 153. I always try to measure the temperature right here in the center block on the ESC because that's the hottest part of the ESC. So right towards here by the end, 61. So 161 is the hottest part of the ESC. And let's check the motor. Motor's at barely at 100, 118, 127, 131. 132, so 132, completely fine in efficiency for heat. So if anything, I'm gonna run a 60 amp. I don't think it's really needed, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And these are the tires that I normally would run on the Truggy. So we're gonna test the 2 tires out. I think I might try to mix them up. Not sure yet, but I can definitely feel there's a huge difference in grip here. Compound's definitely harder too, so we'll try that out later. And so this is finally that comparison that a lot of people have been seeing these cars sitting in my pictures but haven't seen them drive. Well, technically this would be a newer one. So I do have a long wheelbase that I've built, which is basically this, but just a not mid motor but rear motor design. And this one I actually have had this for a while. Got a new body for it, got some new tires, and just tuned it. So this thing's a beast. It's amazing. I'm almost kind of liking these tires. Probably if I'd probably use them for dirt. They're super grippy on this carpet. So we will try some other tires, some different settings, and see how they all work out.